cause any problems, Mr. Chair. If it's on its way here, I can deliver it to Mr. Tahi at that point. But if Mr. Tahi's in the room, they can just deliver the original to Mr. Tahi. Thank you very much, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Mr. Tahi?
The chair, members of the Resource Development Committee, I would recommend all the division directors drop off the original at Office of Legislative Services, so that way it can be logged in and put into my box. That way it's maintained and kept tracked in one single location, as they would also be dropping off at Office of Legislative Counsel as well, right next to my office building.
Thank you, Mr. Tahi. Mr. Willie, what about the exchange of Exhibit E?
Correct, Mr.
Admin
Chair.
needs?
Oh, yeah, Mr. Chair and Mr. Tahi, Ms. Khan, the information as requested, we have those ready to go, and as per direction from Mr. Tahi, we will get those stamped in correctly at the Office of Legislative Services, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Willie. Mr. Willie?
Oh, Mr. Chair, Otto, as requested from Shania, Honorable Kielnbege, we are preparing the final documentation for the requested information for central agency, in particular to Shania's regional chapter locations for updates regarding plans and opportunities for those regions. Aquita, Honorable Chair and members of RDC.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Willie. I'll open up the floor at this time to the honorable members of the Resources and Development Committee. Do you have any comments or questions? I hear none. We'll go down to the third one, Navajo Nation Division of Transportation. Will be Mr. Garrett Silversmith and Bowman as well. Mr. Silversmith, we have 3 bullet points here. The first one would be double checking the exhibits A and B if corrections are needed. Exchange Exhibit A, Fund Type Budget Summary, and Exhibit B, General Fund Comparative Summary. We'll focus on that first, Mr. Silversmith. You have 20 minutes, sir.
Good morning again, once again, Honorable Delegate Chair Rick Nez and other honorable delegates of the Resources and Development Committee. On behalf of the division, I'll provide you a brief update. So the first bullet point, Honorable Chair, has been taken care of. We established those corrections, revisions, and we've been coordinating and providing our updates and appropriate electronic copies to Mr. Tahi, Ravi Tahi, and also Ms. Mariana Khan. So our staff work with those individuals and with Office of Management and Budget as well too. Honorable Delegate Chair Nez. So we took care of the first bullet. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Silversmith. On the first bullet point, Mr. Tahi, do you have any questions on them?
Mr. Chair, members of the Resource Committee, I did get the revised revisions and applications, Department of Justice FY 2023 comprehensive budget. I did instruct Mrs. Bowman to also drop off a hard copy to Ms. Mariana Khan as well. Ms. Khan, did you receive the hard copy as well?
Khan?
Yes, Mr. Chair and Mr. Tahi, I have received documents from the Division of Transportation, which I'm looking through right now.
Chair, members of the commission, that is all that I have. Did receive this. If Ms. Khan has any other questions, she may ask them to the committee or to the Department of Transportation. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you. We do have hard copies right before us here. And we'll move down to the next bullet point, which will be double checking the signatures on exhibits A and B. If corrections are needed, exchange exhibit A, fund type budget summary, and exhibit B, general fund comparative summary. Silversmith?
Thank you once again, Honorable Delegate Chair. As we, in regards to the second bullet point under our budget presentation, we did take care of those items there. So it's been resolved. However, in exhibits A and exhibit B, Chair Nez and honorable delegates of the Resource and Development Committee, those exhibits, there's no areas as signified or identified for signatures. However, we've corrected what we could and we submitted those accordingly to Mr. Tai and Ms. Khan as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Silversmith. We appreciate that. Next bullet point, exchange exhibit E, unmet needs. Mr. Silversmith?
Thank you once again, Honorable Delegate Chair Nez. That third bullet point as well has been taken care of yesterday. We've coordinated those revisions and so forth with the appropriate personnel from OMB, and we submitted all the corrections and revisions we had done to Mr. Tahi and Ms. Khan. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Silversmith. Ms. Khan, any concerns?
Mr. Chair and members of the committee, I'm looking over the documents that were submitted to Office of Legislative Counsel. As Mr. Garrett Silversmith has pointed out, on these particular exhibits A, B, and E, there is no signature line, and so there is no concern about those particular signatures. There on exhibit E, there is one recommended unmet need. And perhaps Mr. Tahi could read that into the record. Other than that, the additional tab F documents and additional tab documents that were given to the delivered to the Office of Legislative Counsel, Mr. Silversmith and Mr. Chair, members of the committee, those are not exhibit A, B, and C. Those are more detailed and will go into the binder that will be presented to, will be provided to the Budget and Finance Committee. In this year's legislation, the instruction was that the binders were not going to be introduced as exhibits. And so that's the reason those particular, the inch worth of documents that were presented, brought to the Office of Legislative Counsel by Mr. Silversmith will not be added as exhibits. Just the exhibit A, B, and E will be attached to this year's budget resolution that RDC will recommend to the Budget and Finance Committee. Mr. Chair, if you need further clarification on that, I'll be happy to.
Thank you, Ms. Khan. Which exhibit did you want Mr. Tahi to read into the record?
Exhibit E.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Tahi?
Chair, members of the Resource Committee, Exhibit E is an Affirmations recommendation for unmet needs budget. For the executive branch, this will go to the Division of Transportation, Business Unit number 12-1004, Program Title, NDOT Roads Department, amount needed, $2,416,813. The explanation for the recommended unmet needs for FY 2023 general fund budget, Funds are being requested is for the increase of materials and product utilized for the road projects throughout the Navajo Nation, including the rising cost of diesel fuels, repairs and maintenance for the specialized equipment, materials, and archaeological clearance task orders, street light payments, and road stabilization products. Chair, members of the Resource Development Committee, that is Exhibit E read into the record.
Thank you, Mr. Tahi. I believe we're done with NDOT here. Honorable members of RDC, do you have any comments or questions? None. I hear none. We'll go down to Navajo Nation Environmental Protection Agency. We do have Ms. Valinda Shirley and her staff on the call with us today. So, Ms. Shirley, you will have 20 minutes. The first bullet point will be to exchange Exhibit A, Fund Type Budget Summary. Ms. Shirley?
Yad Benanana, Shigay Notlini Shananta. Yad Bene, honorable members of RDC and what I have is the first item is the exchange of Exhibit A. I believe that's that has been provided to you, a hard copy. So the budget booklets that were provided to honorable members, the first, the Exhibit A is the correct one that we provided. So that does need to be exchanged. And then I believe there was an email sent to Mr. Tahi requesting for that exchange. And that's where we learned that we had to do an amendment. So A Hutela, first of all. And then the second item for unmet needs. In your packet, in the budget that we submitted to OMB and others, we do have our unmet needs budget identified with all of the four business units that we're hoping for the unmet needs, or the four programs that we're requesting for unmet needs. And then the last item is was a request for carryover. And we do have a memo that we will send over to Office of Legislative Counsel and provide an electronic copy to Mr. Tahi as well. And this would outline our request for carryover. And again, just to kind of summarize what we were asking for as far as carryover is concerned, we have some cost savings in criminal enforcement and in the Resource Conservation Recovery Program. Those are business units 111014 for criminal enforcement, 111011 for RCRP. And then the budget numbers that the amounts that we are requesting, and again, this is an estimate, is we're requesting for $295,000 from the Criminal Enforcement Department to be transferred over into RCRP. And then 71,000 was an estimated cost savings for RCRP, and we wish to carry that over too. And the intent of this request for carryover is to put the funds into the contractual services in the RCRP budget. And the idea, or the how can I say this? The aim of the request is to do additional cleanup within the Navajo Nation. And when I say cleanup, I'm specifically talking about solid waste cleanup. There are a lot of illegal dumps out there. We currently don't have the monies to address or do cleanup within the Navajo Nation. So we're requesting this carryover to help us with at least maybe 2-3 dumps, and it depends on the severity of the dump sites that we're looking at and the amount of money that we're allowed to carry over. So that is the request. And then again, we'll provide these documents, hard copies, to Office of Legislative Counsel, and then I can email out all of these electronic copies to Mr. Tahi and Ms. Khan.
Aktoya,
Oh,
a question Ms. Shirley for that. Mr. Tahi?
Chair, members of the commission, I did receive the exchange for the Exhibit A that was emailed to me by Laverne Begay. She did indicate to please accept the form Exhibit A only as revised and as an attachment. I sent this email out to RDC members as well as to Ms. Khan for the record. We still need the exchange of Exhibit E, the unmet needs, the request for carryover, which would include the budget number, program names, and carryover amounts, which Ms. Director Shirley did indicate will be delivered to Ms. Khan and I by hard copy. Ms. Shirley, do you know when you'll get that to us so that we can have it as soon as possible?
Shirley?
oh, Mr. Tahi, Chair, yes, we can walk this over immediately and sending the electronic copies as we speak.
Chair, members of the commission, I have no other further questions or concerns.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Tahi. Ms. Khan?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I was looking for the carryover information. Of course, if it's not available at this moment, it's not available. But I'll wait, and this will be added to the legislation. Currently, we do not have an exhibit like Exhibit A, B, and C. We don't have an F for carryovers, and so I just needed to make sure that I got that information so that it will be inserted into the legislation at an appropriate place. The sooner the better to get that information, because as you know, as we get closer to the meeting times, for you to approve this budget, it would be best to double check my work, this being numbers and such. Thank you very much for any assistance you can give in giving that information as quickly as possible. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Ms. Khan. I believe Ms. Shirley emailed it to us as well as CC'd you. Was it sent?
The chair, members of the commission, Ms. Director Shirley sent this email today at 10:08 a.m. Ms. Khan, your email indicated next to my name.
Khan, did you receive it? Ms. Khan?
Mr. Chair, I'm looking for the form that says Exhibit E. I see attachments that say unmet need, four different copies. I'm just looking for the one that says, here it is. I see it now, Mr. Chair. E. Okay, yes, I see E. And again, I would recommend that this be read into the record, Mr. Chair. And I do not see the carryover unmet need. I see unmet need, but I do not see carryover. Is that here? Let's see. Carryover. Yes, I see the letter for the carryover, and that gives the two departments, the two business units, the two budget numbers, and the amounts. Thank you, Ms. Shirley, for that information. I need all of that to put into the legislation. Thank you for sending it. And now I can, I will proceed to work on the amendments, and that is the Resources and Development Committee decides whether or not Resources and Development Committee will recommend these carryovers to the Budget and Finance Committee at the time of the approval of the legislation on Wednesday. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I do have the information.
Okay, Mr. Tahi?
Chair, members of the Resource and Development Committee, attaches Exhibit E, which is shared on the screen. This email was shared with the rest of the Resource and Development Committee, as well as Office of Legislative Services. This is for fiscal year 2023 Navajo Nation Recommended Unmet Needs Budget. Exhibit E, Branch's Executive Division Office of Navajo Nation Environmental Protection Agency. Business Unit Number 111001, Program Title Navajo Nation EPA Administration. The amount of unmet need is $50,000. The explanation for the recommended unmet needs to this FY 2023 General Fund budget is requesting funds to pay contractors to help us prepare competitive grant application for build grant opportunities. Next is Business Unit Number 111011, Program Title Resource Conservation and Recovery. The unmet needs amount is $11,614. The explanation for the recommended unmet needs to the FY 2023 General Fund budget is travel and supply expenses to respond to illegal dumping reports from across the nation. Business Unit Number 111014, Criminal Enforcement Department, unmet needs amount is $17,299. The explanation for the recommended unmet needs to the FY 2023 General Fund budget is travel expenses for criminal enforcement officers to respond to environmental violations, spills, and other public emergencies. Next is Business Unit Number is new, Minor Resource Permit Program. The amount of unmet need is $143,063. The explanation for the recommended unmet needs to the FY 2023 General Fund budget. Track and maintain oil and gas emissions from wells, create and maintain a database, community outreach, and education. Total amount for the unmet needs for FY 2023 is $220,976. Chair, members of the Resource and Development Committee, that is Exhibit E for fiscal year 2023, unmet needs from EPA read into the record. Back to you, Chairman.
Thank you very much, Mr. Tahi. I believe we're done here. And we would like to open up the floor for comments and questions. Honorable members of RDC, any comments or questions? Honorable Stewart?
Yes, good morning, Chairman. Aro, Shana, Kedo, Shajayaja, Aro and the staff, so, Aro division directors and program supervisors, managers at Ehegita, Honorable Koyat A. My question is that under administration, there, for the record, it says on here that summary of changes to budget positions, there are none. So I take it that all the staff under the administration are going to remain. There are going to be no changes. Because I was informed by a staff member, they were told to reapply for a position. That was the motion on them.
Sir, what you have there is.
Thank you, Honorable Stewart. Thank you for that. And let me go to Director Shirley, your response.
So what I have there is the budgets for this coming year. And I think if we're asking about specific personnel, then I would say I'm not at liberty to just say.
Honorable Stewart, do you have a follow-up question?
Yes, because Chairman, if there's no changes, then that means staff should not be moved or changed otherwise because they've earned those positions.
Okay.
And then if there's going to be a change, it should have already been noted in here.
Okay. Ms. Shirley, you are still under oath to swear to tell the truth and the testimony that you are giving. So the concern here is all the documents that is before us correct and accurate?
Yes, sir. May I comment?
Yes, you may.
Yes, what you have there is correct and accurate. And then again, I do look to I'm sure that the form that Delegate Stewart is looking at is the form 3. And that's provided by the Department of Personnel Management.
Ms. Shirley?
Yes, sir.
It's page 9 of 10, budget form 5.
Okay, so it's budget form 5, and then the listing of the positions there, that's provided to me by the Division of Human Resources. So it is accurate.
Okay, so the type of change is not applicable?
Well, I wouldn't be able to make any kind of changes unless I went through the Department of Personnel Management.
Okay. Honorable Stewart, do you have a follow-up question?
No, just that, concern, and then to have it on the record that all the staff would still be there with no demotion
Okay.
or change in position.
On the subject of sub-account, position ID, job type, position title, executive director, principal contract analyst, administrative assistant, with the total amount of $197,692. Ms. Shirley?
That is currently the amounts that we have allocated for those positions. Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Shirley. Honorable members of RDC, any other comments or questions? I hear none. Ms.
Mr. Chair?
Shirley? Yes, Ms. Khan?
Mr. Chair, if, as was pointed out, if you would like to have more information on particular current positions being filled by current employees, it would need to go into executive session. The general information, or not general, the monetary information that is provided in the documents you are referring to, that may be discussed here, but if there is any desire to talk about, discuss any particular employment situation in which a particular individual is currently employed, that would need to go into executive session, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Khan, are you requesting an executive session or during the regular scheduled RDC meeting?
Currently the information that is being given, Mr. Chair, is regarding the figures that are before you, and the explanation was by Ms. Shirley was how those numbers were generated and provided by the Division of Human Resources. There was a brief allusion to a particular position, and if I am just bringing to your attention, if you want further discussion on a particular position, that would have to go into executive session, whether here or at the RDC meeting that will be held to finalize the budget on Wednesday, Mr. Chair. And of course, as before, that would involve notice to the Department of Justice, and it might be a good idea to give them more heads up if particular information about a particular employee, currently employed position is to be discussed. Might be, I would suggest, giving the Department of Justice time to find that information and discuss it in executive session at a later point, but only if the Resources and Development Committee would like to discuss that particular position. That is my suggestion, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you for that. The concern was on the NA, non-applicable status, and the questions that were raised by Honorable Stewart and the response by Ms. Shirley, that DPM needs to be notified of those positions, and it sounds like it's up to them, since they're they're under human resources. So at this time, honorable members of RDC, do we need to go into executive session to further discuss positions? Honorable Stewart?
Yes, Chairman. As Mr. Ms. Khan recommended, just to go into executive session until Wednesday when we go through the budget. That way, like she stated, it gives them time to prepare any documents they may need. Otherwise, we're going to be waiting again. So, do that if needed.
Okay, thank you, Honorable Stewart. What we will do, Ms. Khan, is on Wednesday, the 3rd of August, during our regular scheduled RDC meeting, if there are questions, we would like to have the Department of Personnel Management as well as Human Resources to be present, as well as Navajo Nation Department of Justice at that time. So, we will take care of the executive session at that time. Thank you. Honorable members of RDC, any other comments or questions? I hear none. Thank you, Ms. Shirley and your staff. We'll go down to the 5th Division of Community Development, Dr. Yellowman. Are you present with us? Dr. Yellowman? Mr. Atakai?
Yes, Shanand, I am here. This is James Atakai from the Division of Community Development. We're ready to present the couple items, Exhibit A and Exhibit E, as recommended. As far as the changes, we did provide copies yesterday.
Okay, Mr. Atakai, you have 20 minutes to present, sir.
Okay, Ate, Shananda, Honorable Chair of the RDC, Ricky Nez, so honorable members of the RDC committee, Otto legislative staff, and also I have the DCD staff on call. I'll have Lydell Davis, the senior accountant from DCD, to do the presentation. Shananda.
Okay. Mr. Davis?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Good morning, this is Lydell Davis. I did drop off Exhibits A and E with both Mariana Khan and Rodney Tahi yesterday. Wanted to know if they got both of those forms, and I guess that concludes our presentation.
Okay. Ms. Khan, did you receive those documents?
Mr. Chair, yes, I have the documents that were dropped off. I have them right before me right now. I have an Exhibit C with no changes, Exhibit D with no changes, and an Exhibit A that is in yellow print, yellow paper, which signifies to, I understand that this is the corrected Exhibit A. I do have a copy of that Exhibit A. And I also have additional pages 1 through 8. And then what I don't have is the Exhibit E. I don't have a copy of Exhibit E. So I do have the the corrected Exhibit A, which is what we had identified needed to be changed, but I do not have the E. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Mr. Tahi?
Chair, members of the commission, I did receive the exact same document that Ms. Khan has. I don't have Exhibit E, the hard copy. However, there was an email sent to me regarding Exhibit E for the unmet needs part from community development. This email was sent on Wednesday. I just need to make sure this is the correct Exhibit E that is being addressed as the unmet needs. This was sent from Lydell Davis at 5:00 p.m. If Mr. Lydell Davis can verify this is the unmet needs, then this is the only document that we will be requesting from community development to be given to myself and to Ms. Khan at Office of Legislative Counsel.
Thank you, Mr. Tahi. Mr. Davis, the email that was sent on Wednesday for the unmet needs, are those the corrected documents?
It should be. I can drop off a copy within the next 15 minutes following our presentation or our call.
Okay. Mr. Tahi?
Chair, members of the Resource Committee, Mr. Davis, just to make sure, there is 4 unmet needs that is totally in the amount of $1,773,574. Is that correct?
Mr. Davis?
Yes, it is for both the 2 agencies, the JPA with San Juan County, and then the 3 attorneys. Yes.
The chair, members of the Resource Committee, I do have the correct unmet needs budget electronically. We just need the hard copy. I can read the electronic copy that I have into the record for RDC.
Okay, Mr. Tahi, go ahead and proceed.
Chair, members of the Resource Committee, you have fiscal year 2023, the Navajo Nation recommended unmet needs budget, Exhibit E, Executive Branch for the Division of Community Development. You have business unit number 108106 through 108123, program title, Western Navajo Agency Chapter 18. The amount of unmet need is $514,824. The explanation for the unmet needs to the fiscal year 2023 general fund budget, FY23. Navajo Nation Chapter personnel budget allocated only covers 11 months of salary and fringe benefits. Needs funding for the full coverage 12 months. As a result from increase of fringe benefit and GWA. Business unit number 108014 through 108027. Program title, Chinle Navajo Agency, Chapter 14. The amount of unmet need of $520,698. Explanation for the recommended unmet needs to the FY 2023 General Fund budget. FY 23 Navajo Nation Chapter personnel budget allocation only covers 11 months of salary and fringe benefits. Need funding to fully cover 12 months as a result from increase of fringe benefits and GWA. Business unit number 108001, program title San Juan County JPA. The amount of unmet need needed, $400,000. The explanation for the unmet need to the FY 2023 General Fund budget. Funding needed for San Juan County Joint Power Agreement for solid waste operation expenses in FY 2023. And business unit number 108001, program title DCD Chapter Unit. The amount of unmet need, $338,052. The explanation for the recommended unmet needs to the FY 2023 General Fund budget. Chapter unit is the smallest unit of DOJ. There is a great need for additional attorney positions to address chapter-related legal issues and concerns. The total amount for the unmet need on Exhibit E is $1,773,574. Chair, members of RDC, that is Exhibit E for fiscal year 2023 for unmet needs budgets read into the record.
Thank you very much, Mr. Tahi, for reading it into the record. Mr. Adekai, anything you would like to add? Dr. Yellowman, are you back with us?
In addition on that,
Yes.
this
Anything you would like to add?
no, that's I believe what we have, what we presented is complete information. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Davis?
Good morning. I don't have anything to add. I will drop off the hard copy of the Exhibit E in about 15 minutes. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Ms. Khan?
Mr. Chair and members of the Resources and Development Committee, once I get that Exhibit E, I do believe we'll have everything I need to complete the amendments for this particular legislation. So thank you very much for your work, everybody who has assisted with this particular task, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Ms. Khan, for that. Honorable members of RDC, any comments or questions? I hear none. Thank you, Mr. Adekai. We'll move right along to B on the agenda. Navajo Division of Natural Resources. Ms. Jeremiah, are you on the call with us? Ms. Jeremiah?
Good morning, Chair. This is Etty Anderson Abasta from GLAD. She may be getting documents together still.
Good morning, Chairman. This is Rowena Jeremiah.
Okay, thank you for getting on the call, Ms. Jeremiah. First question, are you ready?
Chairman, we are not quite ready. We are we submitted everything to OMB, and we are preparing the manuals, getting the docs compiled.
Okay, about how much time? Because we would like to recess and perhaps go to lunch and come back. Would 1 o'clock be okay?
Would 1 o'clock be fine?
1 o'clock? Okay. 1 o'clock is good then. Honorable members of RDC, before we go on recess, do you have any comments or questions? None? It is currently 10:34 a.m. We will recess until 1 o'clock, at which time we will have the Division of Natural Resources do their budget presentations, but at first we will have OMB begin at that time, and the oaths were taken yesterday. So we are on recess at this time and come back at 1 o'clock p.m. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh.